Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel, and in this one we have a Grandmaster Korean Graves with the new rebuffed crit pellet activity. That's right, 50% increase on that crit per pellet, 20 to 30%, and a 20% reduction of the ultimate at rank 1, and 10% reduction of the ultimate at rank 2. Why? Well, apparently Graves was weak. Well, let's see, because now Graves is going to be strong. Whenever Graves is meta, the rest of us are sad. We have a Graves doing a red. We have a jungler Nunu starting on the top side. What ludicrous clears will he do? And the Graves is like, you know what? The Graves is like, you know what? What if I use this crit buff per pellet to build into Shield Bow and Infinity Edge collectors and things like this? That's literally what Graves mains are doing right now. They're saying, well, we might as well use the crit buff so we had a few patches ago in the ADC itemization, and use the crit buffs we just got now, and the reduction in ultimate power, which is huge when, you know, it's Graves' ultimate, which basically feels... Someone suggested on Twitter that it should be an execute. I told him to stop cooking because he's losing his mind. He's definitely in Arkham Asylum, but it can't feel like that, can it not? So we gotta basically do this into this level 2 gank. Why? Because we're adjusting our game plan to match that of the enemy jungler, except we can play it just as well as he can. So the Nunu has already done his red buff. He has 12 CS. He's done the whole quadrant. Graves snacks away the blue, counter ganks this to shove him off, gets the crashing wave. Your Malphite can reset, and now we can keep this pressure up because we're Graves. But because he's going back to base, we're going to do the smart thing, which is look back around this side or dive bot lane to do something before the Nunu shows up. This is the kind of aggressive jungling that Graves mains need to be doing. When you're not doing it, you should be doing it. And that's basically the end of the story. Now, is this working out for him? No. Why is it not working out for him? Because he took too long, and we know that Nunu is probably going to do this. He was assuming that Nunu was going to base. Nunu stays, Nunu shows up, we have the pressure bot lane from our level 2 gank. The Zed can't rotate because of the crash. The Malphite's now returned to lane with his TP. This is the absolute obnoxious, annoying, not so good power thing that everyone hates. This Graves is going to have 100% kill participation, so stay tuned for that, because it is strong. But at the same time, is this sort of like a good philosophy for you to do in your low elo games? No, but at the same time, look at how irritating we can be. Hello! Nice heal, nice Q. I'm just going to stick to you here. We have red buff. I'm going to get that auto attack off. Hello, Callista. No cooldowns, obviously. This is a long cooldown. I know it's 24 seconds, 23.64, but we're going to just flash the wall here. One more auto for the stun on the Thresh. We know we're ready to gank that. We're going to chuck the Q out. Come on, E into the auto attack. The pressure here is obnoxious. It is. And when Graves is a champion that can build crit, crit has always been his best build. Not in terms of like mathematical or win rate, but in terms of damage output. If you could even do the Umbral Glaive Eclipse into, you know, collect the crit stuff that we talked about last year, the damage was always more than any other build. It's just, does it spike? Is it worth the invest? Do I have the gold? Are there better options that allow me to match game states and metas better? There's a lot of variables for that kind of stuff, but if you want to do the most damage possible, crit builds. Now, of course, crit pellets. And the Graves is basically going to go and hold this one here. We know we've shoved the Nunu out of this wave, right? And because, or wave, Grom. We know we shoved him out of here. We're still level 3. We're really compromised experience-wise. So we know that Nunu's 99% going to go to the top side now because he has this plus this. We're basically saying, Cassante, please be cautious, my sir. And we're going to float on now down and repeat gank the bottom lane. I'm not a fan of this hyper-aggression overall unless you're against something that isn't going to out-farm and out-CS you. In this particular case, because we're against the Nunu, because we have a Brahma, because the Thresh is being a bit of an idiot, like look at this. Look at Callista. So these Threshes, apologies you didn't see the kill, but you can use your imagination. The Threshes and the supports, your ADC is dead, your ADC is base, in this case base. There's no reason for you to be 1v2ing this lane. Can we use that for a gank? Can I go top lane and do this? Or ideally mid lane, and then once my Callista comes back down, I can rejoin her, right? He just doesn't do this. The Cassante doesn't respect the possibility from the Graves warning pings over here, but the Graves says, look, I see the Nunu. Oh, I mean, the Nunu doesn't respect the Cassante. Oh my goodness gracious. God mode Cassante, very nicely done. But the snowball, it comes back. And we have now another Q3. We're going to dash into the mini wave. We're going to hit that one. But we die anyway. Okay, so that was a lot of... I try to sell the entertainment value there. Crazy. But we take that and we say, we'll take a dragon. This is absolute psychotic Graves jungling in terms of aggression. But this is the kind of stuff that all of us from the OG days know. The Shakers, the Lee Sins, the Graves. We just want to farm, man. And they would just run at you the whole time. Even Season 10 was a little bit like this with the Nidleys. Okay, so they go straight for the 2v2 trade, knowing that the Graves just took a dragon. We do have the Lantern for safety, so that's well played by the Callista and the Thresh bottom lane. We have vision here from the Malphite coming down, so again, they can disengage from this. Graves will just hold the wave. This is not what I expected when I loaded this game. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I'm okay with this not being the expected outcome, purely because, I just wanted to check this out, just because, you know, if he was full clearing and then ganking and then, you know, full clearing again and then full clearing again and counter jungling, it'd be quite boring. Like, Graves games can be really, really boring. However, because we took this, because we ganked this, what he's basically doing here is saying, look, I saw the Nunu go up here and this was a long fight and I was able to get Hextech Dragon for it. Let me use my mid lane prior from the Malphite. That's right, I said that. To take this RNG Scuttle on the top side, because I know the Nunu most likely is going to think about either, as we see it from we see the pings here. So we anticipate two options. One, the Nunu goes to the bottom side of the map and takes those camps and ganks down there. The other option is, of course, that he takes his red. Now, if you're in gold, silver, plat, whatever low elo stuff, they're going for the red buff. They're like, they love the buff, they love the Scuttle Crab, they're not thinking about raw camps. The Graves is like, well, let me just do this to try and get ahead here and snowball the Cassante, because then I can fall back to this over here. Would I necessarily skip my red and Raptors forward? In my opinion, you know, in a high-paced, high-elo game like this, potentially, but if you're smurfing, look, we see him now, confirmation, right? Okay, so he did his red and he's going down. Now I'm relaxed, but you could probably afford to do the red and the Raptors here. We have Noon Quiver, a lot of gold, and then float to this. I don't think, if we're expecting the Nunu to go to the bottom side, that this would necessarily be our calculation, but I like it overall because it basically says, look, if he's here, he can't counter jungle this, which means I get to take this if he is here, and if he is bottom lane, then I get to loop back down and match him, which is basically the next 3 level steps that this Graves is thinking about. I assume. I mean, he could be thinking about, that would make sense if he was, but we don't truly know. He could have just been doing random shit. But if you were to think about it, it does make sense, right? So it depends on the player. Obviously here we're going to do a little loop path. This is where we kind of use the opportunity to go take a Scuttle Crab. Then we do our blue side, and instead of carrying onto the bottom side quadrant, we loop back to the Herald because we know the Nunu should in theory be on the side because we saw him. In the meantime, though, the Silas roams to the mid lane through vision and through everything, and no one cares. The point gets hit over here, so that's the Silas. We wouldn't have seen that. And we see everyone here. Hello, Nunu. Okay, look, he took the red buff. It's his red buff. So here, basically, how would you know it's not our red buff? Because in a lot of low elo games, excuse me, people would think that's our red buff. Okay, well, now we know it's not our red buff. But if that didn't happen, for example, and you're busy doing this over here, all you do is you left-click the Nunu, you look on the top right of your, top left of your screen, excuse me, click on the champion, look on the top left, and you will see these things, the Crest of Cinders, as well as the Crest of Insight. And they have timers on them. And you see here, it's very, very small for you, but it's a clock, right? So as it gets to the end, it's expiring. We can see his red buff is expiring. If he was taking our red buff, it would just be beginning, so we would know it's ours. So this way I know, okay, look, the Nunu showed up here, he's disengaging, as we'll see over here, hopefully. There he goes. We'll see him down here. We'll know that that wasn't our red buff, okay? But just by looking at the fight, you can click that and see that. And from this, we basically do a loop and we take the Rift Herald over here with 3-0-0. There's only 3 kills in the game. The Nunu might look to do something. Here we go. Again, we can click and have a look. We'll see, okay, look, Crest of Sin is expiring. Still not our red buff. Cool, I know it's available. That means as they do that to the Jinx, the Graves will do Graves things. 2 options. Back to base. Counter gank. Kill. Control your red side quadrant. 2, say, haha, I'll take your whole red side quadrant, kill your top lane, activate the Herald, maximize push this side for my Cassante, which is what it looks like you might be doing. You ult over the wall to try and kill the Zed, who positions appropriately or not appropriately, it doesn't really matter. Oh, Jinx ult, Jinx ult. You cannot make this shit up. If you go to my coaching channel, the last gold coaching I did this week and the silver coaching I did this week, there were Jinxes. And they hit every ult, man, like every single ult. And on the gameplay channel here, we always have Ashe ults and Jinx ults just straight up missing. Perpetually and always, they're just straight up missing. And it's not like the Zed was even dodging there, right? Ah, no red buff, which means my red buff is still available. Obviously +4, which means potentially took our Krug. So you're just trying to keep track of those things as always. Malphite's in the mid lane, Cassante's holding this top lane here. Mega relaxing. I feel like playing some Cassante jungle tonight. I haven't played in a while. I'm gonna try it. It's terrible, but sometimes it's fun. That outplay made it look fun. I mean, you have fun, you lose, and you die. that you have fun. So the Graves leaves the base here, takes the red buff. Now we'll shadow this because we have the Herald. We chose not to use it here. We're basically saying, look, let's snowball the Jinx and shut down the Callista because 2-0-1, she's really, really fed. We have the Braum here. He hits the Q on the Thresh. He then, oh, that was an exquisite Braum ult. It doesn't mount to anything, but again, like good prediction. Understood the flash is coming through. Boom, boom, low ping, nice. Basically, the Grave says, hey, I know Nunu was in the vicinity. He was going back to base. Oh, hello, Nunu. He comes straight back down to the bottom lane. Doesn't matter. We have waves. We have the Malphite crashing with us. Do we want to use the Herald just yet? Kind of tough. We have time. Still have duration, right? We're Graves from map control. Can we go for some counter jungling again? This is the kind of stuff that really irritates things like Nunu. Oh, straight into that. That was nicely done. By the Malphite, we force a flash from the Nunu and the ult. That's okay. Well, I'm full HP. If you're full HP and the Nunu has to flash it, it hits, but it doesn't kill. You can't make this up. Gameplay channel's cursed. If you play Jinx and I have you on the gameplay channel, I'm so sorry. You are now cursed for the next 3 months. You will never kill anyone with the Jinx ult and you will just miss them. Thank you, Mr. Virkayu. I don't know. It's really weird. Exhaust goes through. Smoke screen goes through. We'll get the Braum proc there with an EQ. And that's nice. E-auto Q. And obviously now we can definitely use the Herald in this particular case. Let's go. And in the meantime, Zed is over here, 101 with a Tiamat. Someone didn't read the patch notes. I understand why people like Tiamat still, but it's a rated Dirk. He's not using it. He's going to hold it for a little bit longer. Let's see what he actually chooses to do with it. I think there's a lot to be said for using it in most games. Maybe not potentially in high elo if you wanted to kind of really snowball someone. You've got time to. For lower mid-elo games, please use it here, 100% if you have this, because you can easily use it for shove. They will hold, and you can probably take this and get away with it. If you don't want to take this and you have to give it up, which is important because sometimes your bottom lane wants to reset, at least you get the gold that your bottom lane can then spend, and you can spend as well now, and you can use that for the advantage on this top side. Also, likewise, if you're giving this up, that's gold value a little bit, but your Jinx, your ADC, your support, they're not good, right? But if I just give them gold from plates, maybe it sends them over the edge. Maybe she gets berserkers from him. Maybe she gets an IE completion. Maybe she gets Kraken completion. Doesn't really matter what's going on. That was weird. The idea is that they have gold, and now we can go top side, and they have as much possible to kind of hold themselves. That's the idea behind it. Now, we're cutting it a lot finer here. We're just basically going to take this outside and roll. Boom, boom, steal, move, cut, and collapse. We're going to use it here. We see the Nunu snowball just fringe cut. Nunu now on the Raptor, so we see that as well. We activating it here. We have time. Silas is adventuring. Don't know if that's what you want to be doing. Now we know he's going to E over the wall. He's going to E and hit the Rift Herald there. The mini wave has shown up, so we need to clear that. The Nunu's showing up with a snowball. The Cassante has his ult stolen. He's going to disengage there. The Nunu hits his E, which gets the stun. The all-out doesn't really take anything. The all-out from the Silas goes through. Now the Cassante is low. Graves is basically tanking. Q3 hits onto the Nunu. The Jinx ult again fucking misses. And the Graves goes for the auto flash Q. It doesn't really hit anything. And now, of course, everybody's low. Zed shows up. He gets knocked up. He dies. And now the Graves is basically saying, I got no mana. But he can still auto attack and reposition. We did not get the full shove of that Herald. So I think my original point of, hey, let's use a bottom lane was a better one because we had numbers. And we could definitely use that advantage. This was a funny fight. I enjoyed myself. 4-0-1, still 500 million% KP. Killista kills our bottom lane again. Again, to the point, what if I have a bit more gold in my bottom lane's pocket? Could they do something with it? Unlikely. But more likely than if they don't. So, give them the gold. We do have the shield bow completed, which is, of course, is a good item. No damage was blocked, though, in this particular case. This is now killed, which means we need to try and get some turret down, because the Callista and the Thresh with the Nunu will most likely look to push into these lanes now, most likely mid lane, so they can kind of go back and forth. Herald is going to be spawning. We don't want to have their pieces move with such an advantage that we can't do anything about it, especially as a Grave. So, what we do is we're waiting for our wolf camp. This is not ideal, but sometimes a few seconds is necessary. But I do think it would have been better off using the Herald on the bottom side. Malphite is going to die to the Silas, and now we're like, well, this looks like a doomed games, my friend. This is not good at all. Callista shows up. Cassante's mid lane. Oh. Hook, flay. Doesn't take it. That's good. Zap. Brave shows up now, 113 to 90. Not as high as it could be, but it's still solid, and we're still ahead in gold. We do go to the mid lane as expected. We saw Zed down here. We have the Nunu traversing the riverside. Plants gets hit over here. Cassandra's in the top lane. We fall back down to this. We know red buff is spawning. This wave is being pushed in. Can we kill the Zed if he's in this bush? You have to know that, because a lot of times you'll see low elo Zeds in this bush. So be ready for that PvP, right? Zed instead moves to the mid lane though. W is down. Ult is up. 4 people mid lane. So again, we take, we hold, we move towards the events. This guy's going to push, we'll cause a collapse. Herald is up, they shove, they say, look, we know the Graves is coming, we don't want to fight him, let's go take this Herald. We can also collapse and kill the Cassante because he's not respecting the vision line. So what they do in this elo is they don't keep pushing and they don't walk away, they just base in spot because everyone expects him to go here or keep pushing or go here. So you just kind of cut the middle, they split, and you don't die. Watch him die. Let's see. The W is again down from the Z. Ult is used, and this time it was not good, and the Q misses. So now you're going... Huh. Alright. Cassante is actually forced to cancel that one there. Silas pushes up. Nunu has taken that one. This guy's pushing here. At least I didn't say Anubis, which would be Nasus. Play the vision. Uh-oh, 4v1. Be careful, we get the slow from the Z. We reposition with our E to avoid the double Q. That's good. Little bit of chillaxing at this particular stage. Malphite pushes up. We know they're rotating, so we reposition. That shows up here. All of this is part of the mid-game stuff. And now, as you all know, in the courses, I talk a lot about this flash from the Callista. Very good reactions, obviously low ping. TP's committed. Graves immediately cuts in. Let's see what happens. Jinx traps onto the ZTP. The ZTP. We rotated, now we come back because we see there's no longer a fight, so that's fine. Now we can go down as well. We can also split push if you wanted to. So, in the courses, I talk very heavily about all this kind of stuff, but free for email subscribers, I sent 2 videos. One an early game one, a sample from the course, and 2 a custom mid-game one where we talked about this kind of stuff yesterday. Next week I'll send part 3, so if you don't have them, you can just subscribe on Virkayu.gg with the email for free, and I'll send out part 3 of that with links to part 1 and 2 next week. Just some free lectures and symposiums on certain things that we don't really make a lot of content on, but I think super important for junglers to become better. One of those is understanding and thinking about mid-game pressure. And here we have a very malign and kind of chillaxed zone, but that's often not the case, right? So how do we navigate those particular things? As I'm losing my voice again. We have here the Dragon being snacked. Jinx and Malphite are like, well, we'll just push up the mid lane, that's great. Silas is out of position. Don't coin from the smite, just focus on the fight. Here we go. Silas in the back line with the Braum ult hits everybody, but everyone else on the blue team is collapsed to the left. We have here the Malphite going in. Zed is ulting on the back line here. The Cassante and the Malphite have gone in giga deep. The Graves gets the kill in the Callista. The Graves gets some assist. He's right in the face of the Silas right here. The Zed now needs to be stopped as well. We'll get that kill. One more. Jinx gets that one. Reset. Go crazy. Get excited. Whatever it is. Nicely done. Right? Messy. Not the most obvious and cleanest fight in terms of, you know, everybody playing it perfectly, but I think the blue team played it pretty damn well. Cassante and the Malphite just went giga deep, and the Graves and the Braum and the Jinx sat here, and the Graves understand. His peel with the smoke screen is absolutely sublime, right? His damage is huge, and he can reposition his damage with his ult. So he can peel, reposition with his E, keep that cooldown coming with the autos, and then he can always ult to someone who's a critical target that he needs to kill. And those things are always invaluable. And from this, the mid-game, right, we blow it open, we lose the objective, who cares? We shove a turret, we cut in, we take all, deny, and now we can collapse in this and push this. If we see this, we can rotate, but ideally I don't want to because I got, what, 2.5 in pocket. The unstoppable with the hook. Nice W, Cassante. So here we go. Very nice. This is it. This is how I play. This is how I like to play on Mundo and everything. No vision line. Silas shows. 3 or 4 here, so that's fine, but we're worried about the Z and we have 2.5. Let's go back to base here, okay? They're sieging this with the Herald, which of course is secured. Hold, please, and don't die. Back to base, we've got the Black Cleaver. We are now champion. We went with the Cleaver. You can go with the Collector if you're a bit more fed and they're all squishies. I think because of the Silas, because of the Thresh, because of the Nunu, because of the nature of this game, the Cleaver is going to do huge amounts of work, but you can go Collector. You can still go IE at the end, which of course he will do. So the Graves rotates directly out of base, gets a kill onto the Zed, repositions to avoid the Nunu ult, had a nice explosion with that ultimate. We have a million spears inside our body. Silas decides to dive a Braum with Jinx and a Graves, who auto-attack. Proc is passive. People be funny sometimes. Another Q hits from the Braum. Can we get the Zap chase done? No, we cannot. Careful here now. Don't over-chase. The Baron's about to spawn. Can we go and do it or bait it? So what Graves does is say, all right, let's shove this up a little bit. Maybe we can try. The red team will see this, and now we basically just want to use it as a bait. Yeah. Positional bait. Position so we don't get hit by that snowball. Get close to the wall for the Q hit and return. Nunu's forced to flash out. Because of that, he does a phase rush as well. The Zap does hit there. Whoa, Graves damage, here we go, we E into the hook. Doesn't matter, the priority target is dead. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Silas shows up over the wall. This is a really on-fire game, like it's quick, right? This is a good example of Korean Grandmaster Challenger, as close as you can get without actually playing in it, because it's just quick. Next thing, next thing, next thing. I did main channel voiceover, did a coaching channel video, had an actual coaching session, and I'm recording this, hence the, the hoarseness. Been a long day of recording. Main channel videos tomorrow, by the way. And coursework as well. We get all the courses out. I mean, that was like 80 videos worth of content in like 6 weeks. No joke, literally. So much content went into that. So much planning and so much presentation and so on. So I hope people who are buying it and trying it are enjoying it. But I do enjoy this stuff as well. As the Zed goes deep here, exhausted and brown peeled. Nice by the Graves again. Understanding. Sit there, heal. Now we can chase down. Boom. Boom. 100% KP. He has been there early. He has been there late. He has been there mid. He has been there at every phase necessary. He's peeled. He's engaged. He's flanked. He's counter jungled. He's controlled objectives whenever he could. But he didn't die unnecessarily trying to steal stuff. Huge example of why Graves is the Pathing God champion. And when you play correctly, oof, it's huge. I mean, this is already at 1,000 health capped, 229 blocked. It's not really about the damage block, right? I mean, it's about giving yourself some pseudo-tankiness with Moss Stomper. It's about getting the crit passive, obviously. Can you guys read all of that? Everything like that? It's about having that lifesteal. It's everything that the item provides, more so than the damage you're going to block with the lifeline. The lifeline is nice, but you know what I mean? It's not about the lifeline. Used to be, now it isn't. We do have the IE, so you're seeing the huge amount of damage he's going to dish out here. We went for the IE second, obviously. That's 40% crit with shield bow. Obviously, having that in our itemization is good, and it works better on Graves than Kraken. This is just an absolute destructive fight here. Look, he's on the Callista here. Boom. Just sticks close to her, keeps auto-attacking her, keeps Eing, keeps that True Grit passive going up. He has the lifeline available to him. He has the life steal as well, 7%. Huge Graves teamfighting and mechanics. Beautifully played. And now, of course, we're going to heal up pretty damn quickly and shove it down. Like, this is how you play Graves, my friend. And again, you can go the collective with squishies. You can still do the Umbral if you wanted, but you don't really feel as good anymore. But the IE, either second or third, in your pocket, huge. Strong damage. Very, very strong damage. Health carved another 840 in that fight alone. Take the inhib, counter jungle if possible, otherwise fall back to the dragon. This is such a great example of how I like to play map as well, and how I like to coach map. This is, you can see I'm in sync with the flow, I hope. I feel like I'm in sync with the flow. It's the kind of stuff I do myself. Obviously with different champions, but IKP, high CS per minute. I don't play the early game like that though. I do not play the early game like that. I can guarantee you the early game, nothing like that. Much more measured and Mundo-like and Volibear-like, you know what I mean? Zyro Jungle-like, that's what I do. But this was a good example of Graves. More damage. 100% KP, you don't see that very often in a game like this. Match history is linked in the description below. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.